Hello and welcome to James Stephens Park in Ballina, the home of the Stephenites, who this afternoon welcome the county champions Knockmore for the second round of this year's Mayo Senior Football Championship. It's an old-fashioned local derby that has rarely failed to deliver plenty of talking points over the years, and again this afternoon we're expecting something similar. Let's take a quick check on the teams then before the action gets underway. We'll start with the Stephenites, and they have made two late changes. The Ballina manager Niall Heffernan has made two late changes to the team listed in the match programme. Pádraig O'Hora has recovered from a shoulder injury and comes into the defence wearing 24 in place of David O'Mahony, and up front James Doherty wearing 22 replaces Luke Doherty in the half forward line. Some other names to watch out for: the Irwin brothers, Jack and Frank, wear 6 and 9. Sam Callanan, who was a member of the Mayo senior panel last season, is at number 8. And up front, Conor McStay and Evan Regan are at the spine of the Stephenites forward line. Looking then at Knockmore, the county champions, they've also made a couple of late changes to their published starting 15. Number 20, Marcus Park, returns to the defence with Conor Flynn, the player who drops out. And up front, number 24, Kieran King, who we expect to play as a sweeper or a +1, replaces number 13, James Ruddy. Apart from that, it's a very familiar looking and established Knockmore starting 15 with the experienced pair of Kevin McLaughlin and Shane McHale at midfield, and top scorer last weekend Darren McHale, another of the Mayo senior panellists. He wears number 11. That's the team sent out by Knockmore manager Ray Dempsey. Well, unfortunately, the weather has broken in a big way here in Mayo overnight, and quite a bit of rain this morning as well, which has made the surface here in Ballina a little greasy. So a big change in weather conditions from last night in Westport for this quintessential North Mayo derby. Delighted to have John Maughan back alongside me again. John, as a player with Crossmolina and indeed a manager as well, you have plenty of experience of coming up against Knockmore and the Stephenites in championship football. Rarely anything easy from either of them, so when they meet, we can expect fireworks perhaps?
I hope so. I look at this as one that we've been eagerly anticipating and looking forward to. Knockmore very formidable last week, comfortable winners over Ahamore. Ahamore turned around and produced a shock of the championship from my perspective last night by absolutely hammering Ballina. Ballina Stephenites would have been really disappointed. They would have been expected to have beaten Ballina in the opening round of the championship. They didn't. That game ended in a draw. So there's a fair amount of pressure on them here today. Come up against a very formidable Knockmore side who played so brilliantly well, closed out the game exceptionally well. Very, very clever, intelligent footballers, a lot of them. So a lot of pressure here in Ballina. But look, you've talked about the rivalry, the healthy rivalry that exists here between these two neighbouring clubs. I just hope that it brings out the best in both. The weather, as I say, it's not raining at the moment. The conditions are nearly perfect, albeit the underground might be a bit less slippy for free takers and what have you. But from a Ballina perspective, I think to have Pádraig O'Hora back, he didn't play last weekend, and Evan Regan, they're two very, very experienced players. Of course, they're missing Gerard Carfaghy, who might weaken them somewhat. But look, it's set up to be a right cracker of a game, and I hope we have that, Mike.
Well, we've got quite the perch here in James Stephens Park this afternoon. In fact, if we were any closer to the Knockmore dugout, we'd be sitting in with the subs. So we've got a bird's eye view as we pause for our Vian first. I do believe that was the inimitable Kieran Heenan who delivered a rousing rendition of the national anthem. That will set the tone, get the blood pumping as the champions, the county champions, back-to-back winners, Knockmore, get ready to have their mettle tested again by the Stephenites. Two teams who had contrasting fortunes in round one. Knockmore beating Ahamore at home by 6 points. Ballina Stephenites held to a draw away to Ballahadreen. So the pressure on the home side to get that first win, to stay in the mix for the quarterfinals, and perhaps even top the group and get top billing in the last 8. Our referee, Paul Lydon from Kilchuma, former county minor footballer, very experienced now as a match official. Knockmore, as you can see, the champions will play from left to right in the first half. Thankfully, the rain has subsided. A few grey clouds overhead, and we're just waiting for things to settle down before we start talking too much about matchups. I can see already, though, Conall Dempsey has gone into the centre of the field to partner Shane McHale as away we go. The second round of the Connacht Gold Mayo Senior Club Football Championship is off and running, and it's an early chance for the Stephenites to put down a marker. Perhaps this is Jack Irwin to Danny Loftus. Back to Jack Irwin again, lining out for the Stephenites alongside his brother Frank. Tug on the jersey of Evan Regan, foul given away by Kevin McLaughlin, and the first shot at goal will come from the boot of the former Mayo forward Evan Regan, who returned just the night before the round one game against Ballahadreen from a stint in Las Vegas where he was working with the UFC for 3 or 4 months, but he's been back a week. He's been training with the Stephenites. That first free comes back off the post. Conor McStay, the quickest to react. He has support outside from Dylan Thornton, the Mayo under-20 of last season. Thornton pulled back by Adam Nyochtan, fouled, and a second free, and it's been a positive start by the Stephenites.
Yeah, I would have expected Evan to have tapped that one over the bar on his favourite left foot, came back off the post, but a very, very alert Conor McStay. He's very quick and recycled the ball out, and certainly this should be an easy tap over. But almost immediately, understandably, Kieran King plays as a +1 for Knockmore. He lined out a corner forward, and Pádraig O'Hora went onto him, so that means that we'll more than likely have Pádraig O'Hora playing as a sweeper for Ballina. So interesting to see how the whole thing evolves.
So a nice straightforward free to start for Frank Irwin, another of the Mayo under-20s of last season. And the Stephenites are out in front. They lead a point to no score. They needed a late equaliser from Conor McStay to get the draw in Ballahadreen. That's a big booming kick out by Colm Reid, picked up by Pádraig O'Hora, and the Stephenites settle into a counter-attacking rhythm. Martin Buran, way over on that far sideline. Here's the call from Jack Irwin. He's a big, strong number 6, the Stephenites defender. Knockmore's defence is in place, so Buran will try and switch the play all the way across to the waiting Kieran Boland. He struck that beautifully, and Kieran Boland has kicked a terrific point to double the Stephenites lead.
Yeah, a great vision there. The ball was switched from the right-hand side, right across to an unmarked Kieran Boland, and he kicked a sweet point there. Great start for Ballina.
Well, just glancing around the field, it would look like Rory Tighe has got the job of marking Aidan Orme. Ballina have put David Tighe onto Darren McHale, and Peter Nyochtan is the furthest Knockmore forward close to the Ballina goal. He's right in there in front of David Clark, waiting as Pierce Rutledge tries to make some headway. Support from Marcus Park, one of the county title-winning team of last season. He's been out with injury. He's back in the team again as Colm Reid plays an ambitious ball right across the field. Too much pace on it, and that goes out for a line ball. The champions just look a little nervous.
Yeah, certainly a shaky start for them. They won't be overly concerned because the experience that they have in their squad, they'll just settle down and recycle and get lots of guys in the ball. So, but a shaky start nonetheless, Mike.
So Ballina Stephenites leading by 2 points to no score as Pádraig O'Hora pops that ball across the field to Danny Loftus. They're trying to spread that Knockmore defence. That's a big, big kick by Rory Tighe. Is it on target? Yes, it is. Well, the Stephenites haven't put a foot wrong in the first 5 minutes. That's 2 of the defence that have scored, and that is some score from Rory Tighe.
Absolutely incredible score. An absolute bomb from about 45 metres. He just pulled the trigger and sailed sweetly over the bar. That's an absolutely brilliant score from Rory Tighe, the right full-back.
So we haven't even played 4 minutes, and Ballina out of the blocks. to a flying start. 3 points in front, and you can hear it, you can see it all around the place. They're up for this. They didn't perform to their expected levels at all last weekend in round one. In fact, they were extremely poor. Only managed 10 points, which was well below the target, I'm sure, set by Niall Heffernan. But they've already hit 3 in the first 4 minutes. Hit by Aidan Orme on Danny Loftus, free given. And Ballina Stephenites very anxious to get on with the game. They're trying to force the pace. They're trying to keep Knockmore on the back foot. And so far, they're managing to do that, as Kieran Boland, point scorer a few minutes ago, has his run checked by Knockton. And he'll go back to Jimmy Doherty. Late inclusion in the Ballina team. Now David Tighe. Again, they try and come down this left-hand side. He's winding up again. There isn't a huge breeze here, but they're content to shoot from long range. Dylan Thornton is in after that, but despite his best efforts, it's dropped away to the right and wide. But 5-6 minutes gone, John, and we still haven't seen a Knockmore attack.
No, I have to say, Ballina mean business. They started off very, very brightly here, and they're full of ambition here, and they're certainly put down a mark in these opening minutes. Incidentally, I saw Porrick O'Hora make a run there from the halfway line right up into the forward position, but didn't end up on the ball.
A turnover, more pressure, free against Knockmore. You can imagine how the Stephenites crowd have reacted. You can also imagine, I'm sure, how Knockmore feel about it. A few decisions for Paul Lydon to make in the first few minutes.
I respect him as a referee, Mike. I think he's a very, very good referee. Porrick O'Hora stood his ground there. It was a rather strong, robust challenge that you'd expect from Porrick O'Hora. But this is championship football, and I have to say, I love to see a little bit of physicality, because our game has been somewhat over-sanitised in recent times. But yeah, that was a pretty strong, manly stuff, Mike, is what we refer to as.
John, I gather the linesman on this near side is Kieran Monaghan. I don't envy him his job in the first half.
Well, he's certainly very close to Ray Dempsey. Ray is not a bit happy with that challenge or a line ball earlier, and he's already made it quite known that he won't be coming out to the Knockmore clubhouse for a drink after this particular game, irrespective of how it goes. Yeah.
Well, it was Conall Dempsey that got the hit. The free has gone Ballina's way. Knockmore felt it was the wrong decision. The Stephenites, they're happy with Paul Lydon's call. Away we go again. The Stephenites, 3 points to the good. And the county champions just slow to start, slow to settle, but a long, long way to go. As David Clark comes out of his goal, he's about 40 metres out, in fact, but not used this time by Porrick O'Hora. Instead, it's Jimmy Doherty, who seems to be floating around the middle of the field, just making himself available as the need arises. Now Martin Buran. O'Hora is free on the far side. Instead, Sam Callanan will get on the ball for one of the first times in the match. So many people anxious to see how the man who got his leaving cert results last week will go for the Stephenites today. Here he is again. Such a capable ball carrier and line breaker. O'Hora bottled up this time. Always tends to enjoy quite a bit of physical contact, does O'Hora, as the Stephenites go along. They're looking for Thornton. Up there as well was Rory Tighe supporting the attack. Good defensive work by Aaron Timlin, though, who just managed to get his body across there and win that dropping ball in the nick of time. But interesting, John, the way the Stephenites are mixing it up. Yes. They're going long, they're going short, and they're keeping Knockmore guessing.
Dylan Thornton, the Ballina wing half forward, is about 6'3" or 4", and they're trying to isolate him on the edge of the square. And you say to mix it up by bombing in a few long scuds. Very unlucky that on that occasion, but certainly it's a ploy that they're going to really mix it up this afternoon. But yeah, Ballina, very, very impressive opening start here.
Just another matchup to tell you about. It's David McHale, the Knockmore captain, who's marking Evan Regan as Orme down at the other end. Looks for Knockton. Ball breaks kindly for Declan Melvin, who shoots high and wild and well wide. The halfback just came onto it, snapped at it, and really should have done better. Knockmore still waiting for that first score as we edge closer to the 10-minute mark. Conor McStay pops it to the runner, Jimmy Doherty again. Forced backwards, driven backwards. Sam Callanan onto the break quickly. 2 Knockmore men in after him. Referee gives the free Ballina's way, and they take it very quickly, trying to keep Knockmore just turn towards their own goal, as it were. David Tighe into the centre to Jack Irwin again. Now they'll slow it down a little. Kieran King, the Knockmore sweeper, is in position, just moving back and forth in front of Evan Regan and Martin Baran. Pádraig O'Hora actually is at full forward at the moment, just in case you were wondering.
And Ed Norm, who was picked at full forward for the Knockmore team, picking him up. Yeah. The man marking job back there. It's interesting. There
is the modern game. Orm at full back, O'Hora at full forward. Conor McStay, son of Paul, who played for the Stephenites for years and years, and indeed Mayo as well. Played in a couple of Connacht finals about 30 years ago, as Evan Regan drifts out from the full forward line to get a touch. Back to Jimmy Doherty. Ballina, well, they're dictating the terms and conditions at the moment. This time though, Jimmy Doherty ran down a cul-de-sac, bottles up, free goes Knockmore's way, and now a chance for them to play on the counter-attack as David Clark goes sprinting back into his goal. He was about 50 metres out there when that attack broke down. He's back in his goal line as Peter Knockton comes forward. No support. He brings it into the tackle and he wins a free. But the support very slow in getting there, and he was fortunate to get the free.
Well, he was, but I think it was the best outcome they could hope for, because you'd say he was completely isolated. No other Knockmore forward up in support. A little bit slow getting back there. But no, Ballina, certainly if they take the ball into traffic or into the tackle here, that's certainly not the ploy, because I see the Ballina attack is really hugging the two touch lines, opening up the play, and that's probably the best ploy to play against a Knockmore team who will be a little bit more physical than them. But
so Peter Knockton will kick the free. He won himself, and that's a good kick, high, straight and true. He hit 3 points against Ahamore last Sunday. That's his first, and Knockmore's account is finally open here at James Stephens Park as we head towards the 12th minute of the first half. Kick out from David Clark has already come and gone. Callanan on the ball. He's about 20 years younger than David Clark is Sam Callanan, and this time, on this occasion, maybe his inexperience told, as Shane McHale, the old dog for the hard road, just turned him, bottled him up and wins the free.
I think Niall Heflin been frustrated with that on 2 occasions now. The last 2, they're just taking the ball into traffic. Not smart football from Ballina.
Nice dinky pass from Kieran King to Knockton again. He's the go-to man in the full forward line. He did very well there to get that ball away. Just thought on his feet, managed to pop it out to King. Now Shane McHale and Conall Dempsey. 2 men on the far side, both unmarked. One of them is this man, Aidan Orm. Ball just dropped in the nick of time there as Danny Loftus closed in. Orm, shouldered backwards by Rory Tighe, manages to keep going. Jersey tugged by Danny Loftus. Another free in, but in the last few minutes, Knockton, McHale and Orm starting to come into it.
A bit of experience and guile there, you know, and after sucking a second free, and after the way Peter Knockton converted one a couple of minutes ago, you would expect that he might just land this over the bar and brings Knockmore right back into the game. Stephenites have played all the football in the opening number of minutes, and possibility here there might be only a point ahead, but again, just an ugly free, one that management will be a little bit frustrated about.
Well, they played here in the league a couple of months ago, the Stephenites and Knockmore, finished in a draw, 1-14 apiece. Both teams though a lot stronger this afternoon. This is championship, this is the serious business. Peter Knockton, tight angle, sticks to the routine and over it goes. 2 in a row for Knockton and the gap is back to 1.
And plenty of height on it, which might make it difficult for an umpire without Hawkeye here, but certainly that's a sweet kick, there's no question about it. He's a very talented free taker, a very good footballer, but that's a great point from a difficult angle.
13 minutes gone. Great catch by Dylan Thornton in the centre of the field, and not a bad delivery either. Great pass to Jack Irwin, who goes long looking for Regan, who's on the move from the full forward line. He's got David McHale after him. That's the eye-catching matchup down that end of the field. Jack Irwin gets forward again. He's driving on from the half-back line every chance he gets as Sam Callanan makes himself available over on that far side. Man who made his National League debut against Donegal way back at the end of January. Dylan Thornton's in again. Out comes Reap, and the goalkeeper got there as Sean Holmes slides in to win the breaking ball. But that move they've tried it a few times now where Thornton makes his run and you can see what they're thinking.
Absolutely. Like, I mean, he's after catch a magnificent kick out here a few moments ago. He's a huge unit. He's about 6'4", and quite clearly that is a ploy that they're hoping to exploit. But the cuteness of that Knockmore full back line, they're not going to fall for that one too easily.
Well, it's such a long and storied rivalry. Knockmore and the Stephenites, they met in the 96 county final, met in the 2004 county final, and so many other big matches over the years as well. They, as John said earlier, usually bring out the best in each other, and this has been a really good first quarter. Conor McStay just couldn't get that ball to stick. Shane McHale was breathing down his neck, and Knockmore, who are coming into it more and more, sweep down the field again.
Yeah. I mean, the experience of the likes of, this is where you need the leadership now, and Shane McHale in particular is just hauling a Knockmore right back into the game. They've
hit 2 points in a row, the champions. They're edging closer. Great take by Knockton, who beats Doherty. Peter Knockton, lovely swivel, still going, bottled up, free out. That was really good defending by the Stephenites.
Super defending, and I would have put my money on Peter Knockton to have hit the onion bag there. He had beaten one corner back, but not two. Great defending from Ballina.
Well, Peter Knockton had dug deep into the box of tricks there to lose the first defender. Stopped by the second and third as Pádraig O'Hora is brought down by King. And there's something about turning over Pádraig O'Hora. It's almost worth the score.
Yeah, I can feel that here on the sideline right in front of us. They were very close to Knockmore management here, and they were thrilled to bits with that turnover there.
Kieran King deserves the credit. He got tight on O'Hora. There's a push on Conall Dempsey on the far side. Well, the pace of this game now has noticeably quickened, and there's a cut to it as well.
Absolutely, and just a couple of the Ballina Stephenites full back line begin to struggle a little bit with the pace and the movement of the inside line. Both Peter Knockton and Aidan Norman in particular just causing a little bit of trouble to the Ballina Stephenites full back line.
Darren McHale to Peter Knockton, the old 1-2 as it were to Conall Dempsey. He's winding up, you can see it from here. Oh, he sold the dummy beautifully there to Niall Feeney. He was sent to the shop, as they say. The shot from long range from well out the field has dropped away to the left and wide. A chance for the equaliser, just missed.
Yeah, Shane McHale, like, I mean, who's playing really well, wouldn't be known for, you know, his shooting brilliance. And in that case, very unlucky, just drifted narrowly wide, but certainly worth an effort.
So 2 wides for Knockmore. The Stephenites, who were 3 ahead, lead by 1. David Clark comes out to play sweeper keeper, the former all-star goalkeeper, one of the great servants of Mayo football, now very much concentrating on his club career as the Stephenites make some headway through Rory Tighe. Long ball, Evan Regan was trying to sneak in behind McHale. It breaks kindly for Niall Feeney, and Feeney finishes in real style to kick the Stephenites 2 in front.
Yeah, a wonderful strike, a wonderful score there by Niall Feeney. But again, just persisting with the long ball into that full forward line, and that was one occasion when the Knockmore full back line didn't deal with it successfully. But a fine score.
Fine catch as well by Kieran King there under pressure. 17 minutes gone. The Stephenites with 3 from play, and they lead 4-2. Adam Knockton, the converted fullback. I think we may have mentioned it last week, but he's a throwback number 3 is Adam Knockton. And right now he's bombing into the full forward line.
He's doing a Pádraig O'Hora and it's got right into the full forward line. Big strong unit, and had a fine game against Aharbor last weekend. Good footballer.
Speaking of strong units, Shane McHale makes a few hard yards. Support from Marcus Park. He's got a couple of Stephenites men in his slipstream. Conall Dempsey now drives over towards that left wing. There are times when he's on the move, when he's the cut of his father Ray, and Conall Dempsey off his left swings it up and over the bar. Well, beautiful score.
That was a wonderful score, created by himself. He took the ball on a loop about 45-50 metres in goal and kicked a wonderful score off his left. That's the best move from Conall Dempsey I've seen now this afternoon, and obviously he's a guy that's struggling with a little bit of form. I was talking to a couple of the Knockmore boys earlier on, but I tell you that score was as good as you see here this afternoon.
Well, he had a really good Sigerson Cup campaign earlier in the year with UL. They went all the way to the final. As Sam Callanan, where will he be playing Sigerson Cup football, I wonder, next season? Callanan makes ground, back to Frank Irwin, 2 of the best young footballers in the county, and Irwin just leaves it short, and Colm Reap, the Mayo goalkeeper, takes it down and drives out the field as quickly as he can. Well, even if you didn't know a whole lot about Mayo Club football, John, after about 18 or 19 minutes here, you'd know you were watching two of the best teams in the county.
It's a cracking game, I have to say. It's fascinating in many ways, and both teams evenly matched and playing some wonderful football.
Pierce Rutledge across the 45 briefly, then driven back out again. Now Peter Knockton, a lot of movement to his left hand side, so he goes for Darren McHale, who is supported outside by Aaron Timlin, one of the newcomers in the Knockmore starting 15 this season. Lovely necklace of passes to release Knockton. That was intricate build-up play, nice angles of running. It bamboozled the Ballina backline, and Knockton wins the free.
And you're absolutely right, Mike, and that's the word and that's the phrase, bamboozled them, because that was an intricate, sweet exchange of stick hand passing, and Peter Knockton has begun to rumble in that full forward line. He's causing all sorts of problems, and wouldn't be surprised if Ballina Stephenites will take a look at maybe a switch there, because he's the guy in particular that's horned Knockmore, keeping them in touch with Stephenites, and he's won a handy free for himself here right in front of the Stephenites goal.
Well, assuming this goes over, we'll be level for the first time here at James Stephens Park, and that is 3 points and counting for Peter Knockton. We're right back at square one, and that early Stephenites lead, John, completely wiped out.
Absolutely, and when you consider, they've put the reins on Kevin McLaughlin. He's the one that really sparkled last weekend against Ahamore, and he's been very, very quiet in this opening quarter here, and it's a great indication of how the strength and depth that this Knockmore team have. And I mentioned Shane McHale. He has been absolutely imperious there for the last 15-20 minutes and hauling Knockmore right back into it.
Well, now that things have settled down a little, and I don't want to speak too soon, it looks like Pádraig O'Hora and Kevin McLaughlin are marking each other, as Danny Loftus just dithered on that, and he dithered too long, and with a little bit of encouragement from the Knockmore management,
quite a bit
he's flagged for overcarrying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he just hung on too long.
He did, yeah. No movement. In fairness, the Knockmore boys closed down every Stephen night. He had no options, and that's why he was reluctant to let it go.
Well, interestingly, we're in the 21st minute, and already Ray Dempsey has called Keith Rutledge out of the dugout. He's taken off the tracksuit, and it looks like he's going to come in now any moment. Perhaps somebody in the Knockmore forward line is carrying a knock, or perhaps Ray Dempsey feels he's going to shake it up a little. Either way, there's a change coming as the Stephenites go in search of the lead scorer again. Martin Buran buzzing around the middle of the field. Little tug on his jersey, spotted by Paul Lydon. Frank Irwin comes in to take over. Kieran King is sitting in on the edge of the D. That means the long ball to Conor McStay is not really an option right now. Everybody else has drifted out the field as Pádraig O'Hora tries to make a beeline for the Knockmore goal. Support from Jack Irwin. His pocket almost picked by Kevin McLaughlin. Quick feet and quick hands from McLaughlin as Sam Callanan now heads down this left wing. Man who's ahead of him is David Tighe. Coming from behind is Frank Irwin. Now David Tighe has been caught on his way across the field there. Paul Lydon is happy enough with the challenge, feels it was accidental. So the play continues, and the Stephenites have gone all the way across to David Tighe. There's that route one towards Thornton, and Adam Knockton safe as a house underneath it at full back.
Oh, that's classy full back play. Adam Knockton, he's stretching his body there and pulling down a fantastic a kick in from Ballina Stephenites. Yeah, he's playing wonderfully well at number 3.
Well, as Ahamore found out last Sunday, and so many other teams have found out over the last few seasons, Knockmore very difficult to break down once they got that defence set. Alan Malloy has done so much work with that back line. Shane McHale coming forward. Ray Dempsey wanted the ball delivered earlier. Now it's delivered. Conal Dempsey is in underneath it. He's being held. You can see it from here. That's a foul by Kieran Boland. I think he felt he had no option. He had to try and hold Dempsey before he got off the ground free in.
Absolutely. But that man, as I mentioned him now 4 or 5 times, Shane McHale, he's really carrying this game to Ballina. He's been absolutely brilliant in this first half, and Peter Knockton in particular is causing all sorts of problems. He's already kicked 3. This is going to be his 4th, and are they going to persist with maybe the cornerbacks on him? But he is one that's absolutely causing consternation in that Knockmore full forward line.
Yeah, he's a very hard man to get a handle on when he moves in there, and Peter Knockton has another routine free here. David Clark taking no chances, brought a couple of teammates back on the line with him, but Knockton slots it, and for the first time in the match, Knockmore are ahead. 2 in a row for Knockton.
Well, that's it. I mean, they were 3 points down. They that's the thing about this Knockmore team. Like, I mean, double county champions, they don't panic. They just waited their time, and they showed great experience and guile and just hauled themselves back into the game. And a couple of the big guys stood up. Last week it was Kevin McLaughlin when they weren't firing brilliantly well the first half. Today it's like Shane McHale and Peter Knockton. But defensively they're really solid. Adam Knockton has been fantastic at full back for them, and that long high early ball that they were persisting with Ballina, that is, it just hasn't worked. They were hoping to isolate Dylan Thornton on a number of occasions in there, but Knockmore full back line have been absolutely brilliant in dealing with it.
John, this is an interesting change Ray Dempsey has just made. We'll talk about it in a moment. It's Keith Rutledge for Declan Melvin, so it's a tactical change more than anything, as Darren McHale picks out Conall Dempsey with a lovely ball back to Orm, and with 3 passes Orm shoots just wide. It would have doubled the Knockmore lead. Instead it's a third wide.
Yeah, I mean, you get back to that switch. Aaron Tillman has been pulled ashore just before half time. That's the thing about county champions. Was Declan Melvin that was absolutely called off? Apologies, but yeah, I mean, Ray obviously feels that he has quality on the bench. I didn't think Declan Melvin was having necessarily a poor game, but yeah, Ray not afraid to make the changes.
So Keith Rutledge into the Knockmore team, and the county champions have gone from 3 points down to 1 in front. Collision there between Evan Regan and one of the Knockmore players. This will mean a stoppage. And just maybe, John, to talk about Evan Regan for a couple of moments. You couldn't believe beforehand when we were just discussing his age. He's just 28 years of age. He's played a lot of football, and yet at this stage it looks like his inter-county career is behind him.
Absolutely, yeah. I was absolutely shocked or surprised to hear that he was just that age, and because on his day he was real quality, and for combinational reasons he seems to have drifted away from the scene. I believe he's after getting a high-profile job down with Munster Rugby as a dietitian, which is it's fantastic for him and for his career, but you would have felt that the quality that this lad had, Mayo could certainly do with them, and maybe Kevin McStay might have a peep again.
Well, I'm sure at least one of the new Mayo management team are here, and right now Evan Regan with a chance to impress them. He struck that well. It was on the sweet spot. It just dropped short. I see Aina Casey, one of the Stephenites backroom team down here underneath us. He was trying to will that and wish it over the bar in one of the All-Ireland Club medal winners from 05. But it just dropped short. Colm Reap is a big man, and you have to make it count when he's under the crossbar. So it remains 5 points to 4. Knockmore ahead for the first time in the match, this second round of the Connacht Gold Mayo Senior Club Football Championship. Pierce Rutledge takes the free, waited, bided his time, and picks out Darren McHale. Again, there's a lot of movement, plenty of options. Aidan Orm takes Rory Tighe down the right hand side, back to Conall Dempsey, just scanning the horizon. Keith Rutledge has moved in front of the Ballina goal. Conall Dempsey holds on. I can hear his dad shouting, keep it moving. Now Conall Dempsey across the square. Shane McHale in at the back post, beaten in the air by Danny Loftus, and the Stephenites will try and play on the break here. Danny Loftus gave the pass and takes the return. The Stephenites have 2 men up. One of them is Evan Regan. He's in behind David McHale. That ball just cannoned off McHale's chest, and Paul Lydon in any event has blown the whistle. Evan Regan, I think, was pulling on a jersey, and Knockmore get the free. But after a shaky start, the Knockmore backline now have
really on top. Absolutely. But getting back to that last Knockmore attack, Pádraig O'Hora recognising the danger, just got back there and giving a bit of support to his fellow corner back there, because you obviously recognise that Peter Knockton is really on form here this afternoon, and so need to close him down.
Keith Rutledge with that crossfield kick cut out by David Clark. Clark keeps it simple, gives it to David Tighe, and here's Pádraig O'Hora. You pick him out a mile away. O'Hora to Rory Tighe, back to O'Hora again, bang, you could see it coming. Darren McHale just got enough on him to stop him. They went out by each other pretty much, but Pádraig O'Hora is carrying a shoulder injury, and that won't have helped.
No, I could see him holding his shoulder at that last attack that I referred to earlier on. He certainly came out holding his shoulder, and he is bandaged up. You can see he has an issue there for sure.
So he's not at full throttle, Pádraig O'Hora, but even a half-hit Pádraig O'Hora is dangerous. So is Dylan Thornton. Oh, it's in the net. Well, they have tried and tried that training ground move, and eventually it comes off. The Gary Owen into the edge of the square, and the towering Dylan Thornton beats Colm Reap to the punch and flicks the Stephenites into the lead.
Absolutely. I mean, as you say, they've persevered with it for so long. I think that's about the 5th time they've landed that big bomb from out the field. At that time, he outleaped Colm Reap in the Knockmore goal and got the little flick on it that ended up on back of the net. But they have persevered with that particular ploy, and it has worked for them just now. But that's a wonderful score in many ways, because they were just in the last 10 or 15 minutes, Knockmore had completely got on top, and Ballina certainly needed that score. That's just a great boost before half time.
Man down there was Adam Knockton, the Knockmore fullback, who was, I think, the meat in the sandwich between Colm Reap and Dylan Thornton. But he's a player, Dylan Thornton, they talk very highly of here around the Stephenites. He was a Mayo under-20 last year. He was a Mayo under-20 again this year, as far as my memory can tell me. And by the looks of things, he's the cut of a potential Mayo senior.
Yeah, there's no question. Like, I mean, he's a big unit, about 6'3", 6'4", and certainly can play football. And yeah, he's a talent for sure.
So now the county champions 2 down again, and we said at the outset they'd have their mettle tested, and Ballina Stephenites have been true to their word. As we head towards the half-time break, light drizzle has rolled in over James Stephens Park here in Ballina. Most of the big crowd in the shelter of the stand. Those supporters on the terraces away to our right and left, well, they're out in it at this stage. Among them, the county chairman, Seamus Toohey. I spotted him on his way in, and I'm sure, like everybody else, entertained by what he's seen so far. As we head into first half stoppage time, round 3 coming up in a fortnight's time for both of these teams. Knockmore will play Ballahadreen. Ballina will take on Ahamore. But by then, the shape of the group will have changed quite a bit once we know the outcome here. Ahamore beating Ballahadreen quite comfortably in the end in the other game in the group last night, as Jack Irwin in first half injury time comes down in front of the stand on the far side. Tried to turn in field, lost the ball in the tackle. Kieran King it was who turned him over, and now Kevin McLaughlin moves it on quickly to Darren McHale. So little time to think or to operate, and the Stephenites have won the ball back again. Space and time at a premium.
Absolutely. Like, I mean, but both teams are just giving it their all. I have to say it's been a fascinating first half. Very, very exciting first half of football, and a lot of quality in it.
Martin Buran, wearing 15 but playing most of his football out around the middle. The Stephenites are trying to leave plenty of space inside for Conor McStay and Evan Regan. And of course the goal scorer Dylan Thornton. That's a foul on Danny Loftus. Just his progress halted by Marcus Park. Kevin McLaughlin was on the scene fairly quickly as well. I think fair to say, John, O'Hora and McLaughlin have probably cancelled each other out in the first half.
They have. They really have. Of course, after the last weekend, Kevin McLaughlin was absolutely superb, but just struggling a little bit here this afternoon.
Now Conor McStay, part of the Mayo senior squad last season. His shot comes back off the post. First man to react is Thornton again. Back to Niall Feeney. He's got a very sweet left foot and he's not afraid to use it. 2 for Feeney. And now the Stephenites lead by a clear goal.
Yeah, lovely score. I have to say, Niall Feeney has caught the eye with 2 sweet points from open play there. That just kicks them 1-5 to 5 points ahead. I have to say it's been a very, very good first half of football. Stephenites have surprised me with their intensity, their work ethic, and there's just a cohesion about their play, and they've certainly caught the eye with some impressive performances. Yeah, Sam Callanan, middle of field, has been very, very good for them. Jack Irwin, excellent, and yeah, they're right in the mix here, and I think they're in a great space. Knockmore, look at, they won't panic, that's for sure. They don't do panic. Some of their big name players have been well curtailed. Darren McHale, you know, has been really curtailed in that first half. Kevin McLaughlin, by his high standards, has been a bit quiet. Adam Knockton, who's been brilliant at full back, just got caught for that flick, himself and Colm Reap, where they were out jumped by what I'm now told Dylan Thornton, who happens to be a nephew of David Brady's. But that was that's the difference between the two sides. But look, it's all set up for a wonderful second half, and yeah, county champions, a little bit of trouble. They know they've got a real big task ahead of them here.
Well, I see the Ballina Brains Trust are in conversation. Manager Niall Heffernan, flanked by Colm Leonard, Ger Cafferty and Aina Casey, All-Ireland Club medal winners, one and all, he has assembled quite the backroom team, has Niall Heffernan. And if we look at briefly, John, the story of the first half, the Stephenites raced into a 3-point lead. Then they went behind when Peter Knockton kicked Knockmore into a 5-4 lead. But the big score, the major score of the first half, it had been coming, and they've obviously targeted that weakness they feel in the Knockmore full back line.
Yeah, and I mean, if you have been watching Knockmore, I've been very impressed with Adam Yochtan. I thought last week against Ahermore he was superb. Big, strong unit at the full back, old style, I think you referred to him as. And Colin Reap is a big unit in goal. But this guy, I have to say, Dylan Thornton, he's really caught the eye. He's, he's another 20 player for 2 seasons, and he's been very, very impressive. He's a good footballer, he's a good skill set, but more importantly, he's a giant of a young fella, about 6'4", that persevered with that long high ball into the edge of the square, and he just got the dangerous of flicks on it to ended up in the back of the Knockmore net. It was a killer sucker punch of a goal, and there's no reason why they cannot persevere with that. I'm sure Knockmore might try something similar. They have a big unit in Conal Dempsey, and I see him lurking in around the edge of the square on occasion, but no, I have to say, Stephenites are very, very impressive. I look, last weekend for them was a poor result, not been anyway disrespectful to Ballina, but I know they went up there full of high hopes and things didn't work out for them. But here, this afternoon, with the Evan Regans and the Pádraig O'Horas back in the ranks, they really have been really, really impressive. The Irwins have been fantastic. And Sam Callanan, a young fella that I heard about last year when he came on, broke onto the Mayo senior squad, he has really caught the eye. A very, very talented, good footballer, very strong. And certainly he is a Mayo inter-county football, hopefully a star of the future, but very, very impressive that first half.
So we've reached the halfway mark here at James Stephens Park in Ballina. It's all set up, as John said, for a fascinating second 30 minutes. At the break, it's the Stephenites, the challengers, who lead Knockmore, the champions, 1-5. We'll be back with second half commentary shortly. That's a proper game, yeah.
Good game.
It is, yeah.
Good game, lads.
Listen, we've got so far enough.
Standard. I met talking to Killian O'Connor, he's a knee injury and he's going for a scan next week. He was limping this morning. Yeah, it doesn't sound good, he said. Yeah, but he's just the mileage and up, you know. Tier coffee, lads.
Geez, a coffee, beer, 50 cents, yeah. Just a little bit of everything. Thanks very much. And you're welcome back to James Stephens Park in Ballina. Teams back out ahead of the start of the second half, and Paul Lydon not hanging around, throws the ball in, and away we go. Well, there you hear a change on the Stephenites team for the second half. Luke Doherty is in place of Mark Baran, as Niall Heffernan and company just try to freshen up their attack and maybe keep Knockmore guessing in the process. So it's the Stephenites who lead 1-5 to 5 points. Just looking at the flags away to our right, there's hardly a puff of a breeze, so no advantage, no major advantage to be gained in that regard, as Aidan Orme plays a slide rule pass down along that right wing. There's been a collision between Darren McHale and Frank Irwin just off the ball. Both men back on their feet again quickly, and Paul Lydon happy to let the play continue, as Shane McHale, all the while looking up to see if a pass is on, eventually picks out Pierce Rutledge, who got out in front, hand in the air, calls the mark. Just beat Danny Loftus there in the sprint, and Pierce Rutledge, who has been quietly effective in the game so far, sizes up the goal away to our left. Rutledge puts the boot through it, but drills it away to the right. And another chance for the champions goes a-begging. I make that now 4 wides.
Yeah, I mean, it was certainly an opportunity for them to get to narrow the gap, so to speak. But we just remarked here at half-time, conditions here are nearly perfect. Now, puff of wind, slippy conditions, but the ball handling has been absolutely superb from both teams. And this is a real quality game of football. It's, I mean, there's a manliness about it, and it has been officiated brilliantly well by Paul Lydon. Very, very impressed with this game.
David Clark down the line to Conor McStay. McStay uses his pace to separate from Sean Holmes and heads down towards the Knockmore goal. Runners break off his shoulder. One of them, Evan Regan. Regan goes low. Terrific finish. Great goal. Beats Colm Reap with a daisy cutter. And the Stephenites in for their second goal. And the champions have fallen 6 points behind.
Wow, this is a test for them now. But I have to say, Conor McStay in particular, a move that was started off by David Clark, gave a brilliant ball up along the right-hand side here. Conor McStay beat his Knockmore defender, gave a quality pass, but the movement from Evan Regan was spot on. And that final pass to Evan Regan was right on the money. But what a finish. That was a terrific, and it takes a good finish to beat Colm Reap. But a wonderful, wonderful score for Ballina.
So now we will see what Knockmore can come up with as they try to respond immediately. Keith Rutledge to Kevin McLaughlin. Nice work by Paul Lydon to get out of his road, and McLaughlin shoots and scores. Knockmore hit back immediately. Yeah,
fine score. We were just remarking here as well that Kevin had quite enough game in the first half. But like, I mean, he's such a quality player. And that's real quality there. Just stepped back into the pocket, got a little pop pass and a sweet left peg right over the black spot from about 30 metres. But yeah, Kevin McLaughlin, I think he's lurking in around the full forward line. They've moved him in there in the second half. Be interesting to see how he gets on in there.
Yeah, Kevin McLaughlin, right now he's in a much more advanced position, just sitting inside the D, being marked by Danny Loftus. He's the closest Knockmore player to Peter Knockton, who's at the spearhead of the attack. As out around the middle of the field, that's Frank Irwin. Or is it? It is indeed Frank Irwin who gets his hands dirty to win that ball, win the free, and play the pass over to the far side. As Knockmore try to get back in numbers. Niall Feeney to Evan Regan. Regan, confidence high after that goal. Just outside his range there, though, left it short for Reap. And now Knockmore will try and play on the counter-attack through Conall Dempsey. Kicked a peach of a point in the first half. Inside to Shane McHale. Conall Dempsey has continued his run. Instead, Shane gives it to the brother Darren. And now Conall Dempsey crashes into a couple of defenders. Manages to slip it out through the side door. And Knockmore continue on their merry way. Darren McHale inside to Conall Dempsey, who continued the run. On the wraparound, as it were, was Knockton. Now Rutledge. He is a man over. Instead decides to check inside. Terrific block by Dylan Thornton, the man who scored the first Stephenites goal. Another little win there, psychological win for the Stephenites as Kevin McLaughlin takes over, tries to drive through the shoulder of O'Hora. Kevin McLaughlin brings it in and curls it gently over the bar. Two in a row for McLaughlin.
That is class. He took a heavy enough challenge there. He bounced off Porrick O'Hora, but a sweet left peg again. That's a wonderful score, and just brings them right back in within touching distance. And when you're looking for leadership and quality, Kevin McLaughlin delivers. Superb.
Misplaced kick out by David Clark, gives it to McLaughlin. Darren McHale, great tackle by David Tighe. It might be there for Knockton. James Doherty slides in soccer style to knock it out for a 45. Well, that could have gone so horribly wrong for the Stephenites.
Well, it did, and David Clark has been rescued there, but Darren McHale, who was brilliant in the second half last Sunday, I think he ended up with 2-2. I would have put money on him converted there, but a brilliant tackle by one of the Ballina Stephenites full back line that just averted the danger, but certainly it was definitely a goal chance from a mistake from David Clark, and he doesn't make too many of them.
So David Clark's blushes saved by Jimmy Doherty, who slid in to drive the ball into the field at the back of the goal as Peter Knockton stands over the 45. Takes quite a short run up, but he's got a solid belt of a football, and that never wavered. It was as straight as a die. Knockmore have hit 3 points in a row since the goal went in.
Yeah, and Peter just gives an indication of his worth, Peter Knockton, to this Knockmore side. He's kicked 4 frees in the first half, and he's been brilliant in open play. But that's a sweet 45 off the ground in slippy conditions, never wavered, straight over the spot, and hauls Knockmore right back into the game.
Well, Ray Dempsey has sent Kevin McLaughlin into the full forward line, and he's left him in there, and it's causing the Stephenites some issues as Aidan Orme, who's gone deeper, plays this ball down the line towards Knockton, beaten by O'Hora, takes the return pass, comes out spectacularly as always, wins his free, takes it quickly. McHale, you could see him lining up Niall Feeney there from a mile off. He's given away the free, and Porrick O'Hora steps in bouncer style and says, Shane, get out of his road. Free to the Stephenites.
Yeah, well, just getting back, Mike, we talk about the quality of the football. It's been superb, but in fairness, it's played with great spirit. So I think there's great respect between these two teams for one another, and that there's a manliness about everything, about this, the tackling and the work ethic of both teams this afternoon. Really enjoyable.
Well, it's certainly a proper senior championship game, that's for sure. Everything is hard earned, and up to this point the Stephenites have earned themselves a 3-point advantage, but it was 6 just a few minutes ago. That's Conall Dempsey, who's wrapping up Frank Irwin, and he's won the free as well. They played under 20 together last year with Mayo, but Dempsey did well there, used his power and his strength to hold up Irwin. Free to Knockmore. Marcus Park just lofts it down the right hand side towards Orme. Across to get the tackle in was Rory Tighe. Free, or line ball rather, to Knockmore, taken quickly. This is where they put on the squeeze against Ahamore last Sunday. In this third quarter, it's really where they went about winning the game in round 1. Right now they're trying to get back into it. That's Keith Rutledge. Will it come in enough? The umpire thinks it has, and up goes the white flag. Keith Rutledge, who came in off the bench late in the first half with his first point.
Oh, that's a terrific response. That's 4 in a row now from Knockmore. I have to say their work effort has really intensified, and that is real quality. Ballina just rattles now. David Clark kicking that ball out over the sideline, and it's all Knockmore at the moment.
Well, it's a full court press. Dempsey, great ball to pick out McLaughlin, trying to come in along the end line. Support from Pierce Rutledge. It's battle stations in the Ballina backline. Back there covering was James Doherty, and he managed to get it out as far as Callanan, and the danger cleared on this occasion. 4 points without reply from the county champions in response to Evan Regan's goal at the start of this second half, as Sam Callanan tries to use an old rugby move there to lose Adam Knockton. Instead plays the simple pass, and now Dylan Thornton looks up. Conor McStay is making a run. Instead he goes short to Jack Irwin. Now McStay is used down along the right. His shadow, Sean Holmes, is there with him. McStay, angles getting tighter and tighter. He takes on the shot, and it's gone across the face of goal and away and wide.
Yeah, Ballina need a score just to settle themselves down, get their confidence back again, and certainly Conor McStay had an opportunity there. Probably should have recycled it. It was a very, very tight angle. He tried to clip it over from the right-hand side with his right foot. Would have been better off recycling it.
That, in fact, is only the second time that Ballina have kicked a wide in this game. They have been ultra efficient as Dylan Thornton pops up this time in the full forward line. Back as far as the waiting Frank Irwin with the snapshot. Brilliant score. He cut his cloth to measure and dropped it just inside that post. They needed that just to check the Knockmore momentum. 2-6 plays 9 points.
Absolutely. Dylan Thornton making the hard runs, the hard yards there, unselfishly sticking a lovely ball back to Frank Irwin, and an absolutely top-class score from him.
Well, that ball was tailor-made for Pádraig O'Hora. He came right through the back of Rutledge to drive it with his fist out over the sideline and just let Pierce Rutledge know he was there.
Absolutely. Climbed high into the sky. That's Pádraig O'Hora for you. We've been so impressed with him over the last couple of years playing for Mayo. Yeah, superb for Ballina.
The McHale brothers on the same page. Lovely ball from Darren to pick out the run of Aaron Timlin. Didn't need to break stride. That ball just wouldn't come down quick enough, and it was Frank Irwin who thundered in from the back to knock it away fair and square, and Clark plays it out to Niall Feeney. The pace of this game has not dropped an iota since it started. Two men go hard for the one ball there, Luke Doherty and Adam Knockton, and I wouldn't envy the linesman's job to figure out which way it went.
Well, I think it's a Ballina ball for sure, yeah.
Well, that was a full-blooded. In fact, he's going to hop it because I think Conor McStay stepped across the line.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. He was anxious to get the ball moving quickly, but Pádraig O'Hora there, I'm just monitoring him over the last couple of minutes. He's been fantastic. Really anchoring the spine of this Ballina team. He's been quite brilliant in the last couple of minutes.
Hot ball won by Adam Knockton away to Darren McHale, and he let the ball do the work down towards Orm. That was the spectacular challenge from Rory Tighe initially. Sam Callanan then crashed into Orm, and there's a card coming for Callanan.
Has to be black. Has to be black, I suspect here. Yeah, is it?
It's Rory Tighe.
Rory Tighe coming back. Yeah, I think it's a black card. Certainly a hand trip. It'll be interesting to see what he does. Oh my God, anyway, he's issued a yellow, but he's very, very lucky, Rory Tighe there. It was a definite hand trip. But the fact that it was all, so to speak, one movement, he might have chickened out of that one, Paul. But
so a change made by the Stephenites. Niall Feeney is being taken out, and that looks like Keith Tighe, the distinctive figure of Keith Tighe, who's in, as Knockmore and Kevin McLaughlin look for a spectacular one from out on the left. That's gone just wide, just shaved the post on its way by. But Keith Tighe, who hit 2 points up in Ballahadreen last weekend, very experienced sub in.
No question. Yeah, Niall Feeney had kicked 2 in the first half, but it's all about the depth of your squad. It's not a 50-man game anymore. It's about your 20, 24, and you see Keith Tighe, buckets of experience, and what a sub to be able to bring in at this stage. Just to freshen things up.
So Niall Heffernan just running his bench, bringing in some fresh legs at this stage. Still a long way to go in this second round game. Still all to play for. 13 minutes gone in the second half. And what an explosive third quarter it's been so far, as Danny Loftus just left that ball behind. He was trying to pick out Keith Tighe. Instead, Kieran King nipped in to win it back again for Knockmore, and now Colm Reap will come out and play as the extra man in the defence. Darren McHale just waiting for it to come to him, gets his free. Callanan it was who was closing him down quickly, as Sean Holmes gets the ball in his hands and for once was heading towards the Ballina goal instead of chasing backwards after Conor McStay. Now Pierce Rutledge managed to evade the referee there, Paul Lydon. Rutledge thought about taking on James Doherty, then decides against it. 2 colleagues in the centre. It's the McHale brothers again, Shane and Darren. Now Kevin McLaughlin. As Knockmore just slow it down before they pick up the pace again. They're 3 points behind the county champions. Conal Dempsey lofts this in. Adam Knockton is in. Out comes Clark. And David Clark was always going to get there first. And in fact, the umpire felt it came off the knuckles of the Knockmore man. finally.
Yeah.
So it'll go down as a wide. That's 6 for Knockmore.
Yeah, I'm sure the Ballina Stephenites management here were a little bit anxious watching David coming off his line that time. He came out about 3 or 4 metres. I thought he had made contact with it and knocked it out for a 45, but obviously a Knockmore player got his hand to it. So a good result for Ballina Stephenites there.
David Clark. He's going to kick this long over towards Frank Irwin, jumping with Pierce Rutledge. O'Hora first to react to the break. Read it well. O'Hora trying to hold off Darren McHale. 2 strong men. Ball is now in the hands of Frank Irwin again, who goes long to Conor McStay. Just like his dad Paul and his uncle Kevin, always on the move when the Stephenites are in possession. Conor McStay gives it to Doherty, back to McStay. Goal! Well, it was a lovely build-up and it was a textbook finish from Conor McStay. 3 goals for the Stephenites, 15 minutes to go.
Oh, that's sheer class, I have to say. Conor McStay was absolutely brilliant. Not alone his finish, but the way he manufactured that. Saw the opening, a brilliant dummy to send his marker Sean Holmes, who's a very talented defender. But it was just sublime, a real quality score.
Well, the Stephenites hit for a 3rd goal. Dylan Thornton, Evan Regan and now Conor McStay as Darren McHale at the other end leaves it short, and just as he turned to jog back into position, who was waiting for him but Pádraig O'Hora with a wry smile as the Stephenites got that ball.
He has just been, Pádraig O'Hora in particular has been just brilliant for Stephenites here in the second half.
Keith Tighe, the fresh legs to Conor McStay. His confidence now will be sky high after that finish a moment ago. Nice ball to Thornton. He's winding up. He's going for the score. There's nobody inside, and that's easy for Reap. As Kieran King will start to build from the back. Well, they've come from behind on a number of occasions in this game, Knockmore, and they're going to have to do it again now.
Well, it's a big test for them now. I just begin to see a few heads in the Knockmore team just dropping ever so slightly. That's another hand trip there. It'll be interesting to see what Paul Lydon, the referee, does here now. That's another hand trip from one of the Ballina Stephenites defenders. But no, it's a big ask now. Knockmore, look, I don't know how they empty the tank, but they certainly have thrown their best effort after they find themselves 6 points down. But Ballina Stephenites have been full value for it. They've created the goal chances, and at the other end of the field, Knockmore really haven't created any goal chance in this game. But is it a yellow or a black?
It's a yellow for Danny Loftus, but I think coincidentally he's actually about to be taken off. So he's booked and he's just been replaced by number 25, Brendan Collins.
Yeah, I think a smart decision there. He was under a bit of pressure, and it's great to have that kind of depth in the squad as well, but I think that's a smart decision by Niall Heffernan's management team just to haul him ashore there.
So the free to Knockmore, taken by McLaughlin. Aidan Orme off the post and over. Just clipped the woodwork on its way by as Knockmore try to climb the hill once again. And they respond to that goal from Conor McStay with the point from Aidan Orme.
Yeah, Aidan has struggled somewhat in the game up to now. That's his first score from open play, and yeah, they need the likes of him now and others to step up the plate if Knockmore are going to get anything out of this game.
The county champions are getting ready to bring in Liam Durkin, by the way, as Pádraig O'Hora lays the ball off to Luke Doherty, and across it goes all the way across to Frank Irwin, who has been impressive. The Stephenites number 9, man of the match against Ballahadreen a week ago. To his midfield partner now, Sam Callanan. Very accomplished rugby player as well, Sam Callanan, now concentrating on Gaelic football with the Stephenites and Mayo, as Ballina play keep ball. Bit early in the day for that, but Knockmore have got everybody tightly covered, so the Stephenites just weighing up their options as Darren McHale just drags down Rory Tighe. That was a frustrated challenge.
It was a frustrated challenge for Darren McHale, I think, who has been held scoreless incidentally. I know he scored 2-2 or 2-3 in last Sunday's game victory over Ahomore, but he's been rather quiet this afternoon and struggling a little bit, as many of the Knockmore players are. But it's been a really impressive performance from Ballina Stephenites. I had question marks over them coming down here, but up to this point they've been absolutely fantastic, and brilliantly led at the back by Pádraig O'Hora. He's just been fantastic for them, reading the game so well, quite brilliant, and he's an inspirational figure for Ballina Stephenites out there this afternoon.
Well, Knockmore have made that change we flagged a few moments ago. Liam Durkin is on for Aaron Timlin, so Both of the young wing backs have been taken out of the Knockmore team at this stage, and Liam Durkin, who has shown so many times in the past that he can come in and change a game, well, he's been asked to do it again here in the neighbours' backyard as Frank Irwin just drags that free away to the left. Just didn't get hold of it at all.
No, he forced that one for sure. It probably would have been better off maybe getting the likes of Evan Regan on to maybe popping short. But
that's a third wide, by the way, for the Stephenites, as that kick out goes all the way through to the waiting Pádraig O'Hora. That was easy for him. Irwin picks out the run of Thornton, and now O'Hora, who had burst a gut to get down the field. Ball knocked out of his hands, falls kindly for Conor McStay. Basketball style there, just took a little bounce, pivoted, and the Stephenites will slow it right down again. And well they might, they're 5 points in front. O'Hora, nice diagonal ball towards Keith Tighe, being tightly marked by Pierce Rutledge, and Kieran King comes across to beat Evan Regan to the breaking ball.
Yeah,
less than 10 minutes to go.
Yeah, I mean, Pádraig O'Hora was drilled the ball there about 40 metres along into the inside full forward line. There was no need to do it. I think if you had recycled, and I think that's what Stephenites need to do, is just cool the whole thing down, recycle the ball, hold on to possession, don't give it away to Knockmore if Ballina Stephenites are going to hang on to win this.
So Evan Regan booked, I think, there by Paul Lydon. Knockmore lose the ball on the way down the field. Jack Irwin wins it back again. Well, the Irwin brothers have been outstanding.
Absolutely brilliant, absolutely brilliant. A great turnover there on the Knockmore. I think it was midfielder on that occasion. Yeah, just gives an indication that Ballina Stephenites are really, really up for this game.
Brendan Collins made the initial headway. Now Dylan Thornton, he's been fouled. Well, he's attracting so much attention, Dylan Thornton, right since the start, and that time again there was a stray hand on him.
And there's a big physicality for a young man. He's able to hold on to possession. That time sucked it free, and like this is just a great breather. And I mean, if the likes of Evan Regan taps this over the bar, which you'd expect him to do, it's nearly worth 2 or 3 points.
So Evan Regan, who prepared for this championship season, working with some UFC competitors, not a bad way to prepare yourself for a local derby, perhaps.
Yeah,
he kicks the free.
An interesting character for sure. And no doubt, I've learned a little bit about him today. I didn't realise he was over the States and now with a Munster rugby. But yeah, he's certainly been quite impressive for them today.
So 1-1 for Evan Regan, 3-7 for the Stephenites, who are keeping Knockmore at arm's length now since that third goal from Conor McStay. But can the county champions go to the well one more time? 8 minutes of normal time to play as Paul Lydon just ushers Éanna Casey back into the dugout. Niall Heffernan, I think, doing his best there in the peace talks just to keep everything nice and cool and calm.
Well, this suits Ballina Stephenites because the clock is ticking and Paul Lydon has slowed it down there. I'm not quite sure what happened. A little bit of argy-bargy, but the game has been played in a great spirit and with great respect for one another. But Stephenites that are displaying all their hard work and the cohesion that you don't often see from Stephenites, but they've been absolutely fantastic here in the second half.
Beaten by Westport, of course, in last year's quarter-final. Desperately unlucky in many ways. This is a stroke of luck, though. Ball breaks for Luke Doherty. Shot blocked by Adam Yaughtun, who threw himself down on Doherty's boot. Well, if that flew in, it was game over.
Absolutely. A great block down inside the full back line, but rather fortuitous the way the ball ended up with them. But the tackling now from Ballina Stephenites has been absolutely fantastic. And the work ethic from every one of them. They are playing arguably the best football I've seen from a Stephenites time in many long time. They've been absolutely brilliant. Every one of them is put in a serious shift here today. I mean, you'd expect it from the Pádraig O'Horas. You mentioned the two Wilburns who've been quite brilliant, but right around the park, Conor McStay has been really, really good in the second half, and Dylan Thornton brilliant. I have to say I've been very, very impressed with them, and leading comfortably enough by 6 points here, 3-7 to 10. You would expect the way they've been playing that they're certainly going to hold on for what would be a famous victory here this afternoon.
Yellow for Aidan Orme, credit where it's due as well. That was Dylan Thornton's turnover that led to this free, and he's gone now back into full forward to make a nuisance of himself in there. But as John said, the work rate from the Stephenites has been something else, and to have any chance of beating Knockmore, you have to match them in that department, and the Stephenites have matched them and they've bettered them in that regard in this second half, and they've just won another free as we head towards the last 5 minutes of the match. That was David Tighe who got up to join the attack and draw the foul.
Well, this will be an interesting, it's a great test of their character, Knockmore. Like, I mean, you would think that they will still progress out of their group. I would expect that they'll beat Ballina in 2 weeks' time. But no, about Stephenites, just they've been absolutely brilliant here, and they've sustained their intensity right throughout the game from the get-go when the two, their cornerback Rory Tighe and Kieran Boland kicked 2 fantastic points from play. That was a start that gave them great momentum, and they have sustained it right to the very end as Evan Regan taps over another free.
Yeah, target practice for Evan Regan, and that's the cue for Ray Dempsey to draft in another sub. Charlie Burke is coming in for the last 5 minutes or so to try and help the rescue mission. But the 2 in a row county champions have fallen 7 points behind. In fact, they've been outscored in this second half by 3 to 5 points. The 2 goals from Evan Regan and Conor McStay as Charlie Burke replaces Shane McHale down the home stretch. Kick out from Reap goes all the way down to Darren McHale. Now Liam Durkin, first chance for him to show what he can do. Foul, free quickly taken but too quick. Pierce Rutledge just couldn't get his body turned, and the Stephenites now will slow this down. One of their defenders is on the flat of his back. I think it's David Tighe, and considering that they're 7 points in front, John, you can see where they're coming from.
Understandably, but it just that element of frustration understandably has crept into the Knockmore play. Ray Dempsey has just rescued Shane McHale, who put in a serious shift at midfield for Knockmore today. He was absolutely brilliant in the first half and for long stretches of the second half, but he's just been rested here now because look at the Knockmore management realise the game is up here. They're well beat and truly beat here, so you know, it's an opportunity for them to go back and take the avail of the 2 week breather, and hopefully for them get their season back running again with a game in 2 weeks' time against Ballina. But yeah, look, Stephenites have been absolutely terrific. Very, very impressed with them. I saw Westport play last night and I was equally as impressed with them also. So look, we have a great championship up and running here.
Well, the Stephenites have patched up David Tighe. During that stoppage, their manager Niall Heffernan just grabbed a quick word with Keith Tighe down at the other end of the field as Sam Callanan, still full of running, drives forward. Now Conor McStay sets his feet, drops it towards the back post, just about kept in play, and David McHale will try and keep the ball in play and keep it moving. Knockmore know now time is very much of the essence. We're into the last 3 minutes of normal time, and nothing but a couple of goals will give them any chance of getting back into this game. Orm, he's got Frank Irwin backpedaling. Now Irwin has got his body turned, and Irwin brings down Orm. Free to Knockmore. It was not taken from the correct position. So
good free to
come back again.
Good free to concede there by Frank Irwin, just to stop the momentum. Like, I mean, Knockmore really haven't created any goal chance in this game, this afternoon. So with Pádraig O'Hora lurking back there on the edge of the square and threatening anyone that comes into that patch, I cannot see that Knockmore managed to secure a goal. But look, the game is up for them anyway. It's I think it's a bit of shooting practice here for Peter Knockton.
Well, they've got very little out of their forward line today in terms of scores, with the exception of this man, Peter Knockton. He's just knocked over his 6th point. I think 5 of those have come from frees, but Darren McHale held scoreless.
Yeah.
Aidan Orm a point.
Yeah.
Conal Dempsey a point.
Absolutely.
And Pierce Rutledge
didn't
score either.
Not enough, but you have to give great credit to the Ballina defence. And they've been absolutely fantastic. And the work ethic of right around the park. Ballina Stephenites were absolutely superior. They were right up for this game. There was a great cohesion and togetherness about them, and despite what I had heard around the week about a little bit of trouble in the camp, there certainly is no appearance of that here this afternoon. They've been absolutely quite superb.
So Niall Heffernan has brought in Rory Moran, former county minor and under 20, and it's Pádraig O'Hora who makes way. As we mentioned earlier, he did play with that shoulder strapped, but he put himself about. He led the charge when the game was there to be won, and he'll be wrapped in cotton wool now, you'd imagine, for the next 2 weeks ahead of that round 3 match with Ahamore, as Ray Dempsey decides to bring in Connor Flynn for the last few minutes. Man who comes out is Marcus Park, so it's a like for like replacement. Yellow for Connell Dempsey. A little bit of bookkeeping for Paul Lydon, but looks like it's all over here bar the shouting, and there will be plenty of that, you'd imagine, from the Stephenites crowd when that final whistle sounds. This will be a statement win. Not the end of the world though for Knockmore either. They've lost a couple of games in the last few seasons and still bounce back to go on and win the county title. But it is a setback, and it will certainly sting, you'd imagine, for a few days at least.
Oh, I'm absolutely convinced of it, as we just tick towards the 30th minute. But yeah, I mean, this is a tough lesson for Knockmore. They are brilliant champions and have been for the last 2 seasons, but certainly there's question marks over them, and in particular the forward line who misfired today. And you would have expected, maybe we mentioned it already, Darren McHale held scoreless obviously, and Aidan Orme a single point from play. Those are the guys who have inter-county experience. You would expect a little bit more from them. Aidan
Orme knocked towards the net by Charlie Burke, and it's flagged as a wide ball. Well, for a moment there was a little bit of panic in the Ballina backline, but the umpire stepped in, came to the rescue, and much ado about nothing, as in comes Nathan Armstrong for the dying moments of this second round game. He'll get a chance to stretch his legs. 7 wides, by the way, for the county champions. 3 in the first half, 4 in the second. Down at the other end, Ballina have just missed the target 3 times.
That's impressive. I mean, their shot selection has been brilliant, and left a few short, dropped a few into keeper's hands, but they were always a score threat and a real goal threat. The back 3 could have had another 1 or 2, but very, very impressive in the forward line.
So Nathan Armstrong has replaced Kieran King as Connell Dempsey climbs highest to claim that kick out. Still trying to carry the ball, carry the fight to the Stephenites. He's been fouled. Ballina player Dylan Thornton there didn't retreat quickly enough. Ball moved forward. Nyochton to McHale. McHale to Durkin, who goes low. Flashes across Clark's goal and wide. Well, that was good covering by Keith Tighe to get into the eye line of the shooter there, Liam Durkin. And Knockmore's quest for a first goal continues. Haven't really caused David Clark, though, too many anxious moments.
No, certainly that was an opportunity for Knockmore to bag a goal there, but not good enough. The finish wasn't good enough, but I'd have to be a little bit disappointed that his full back line were caught napping there, and certainly it was an opportunity for Knockmore.
Jack Irwin, his dad Gabriel, an all-star, played in the 1989 All-Ireland final. Jack Irwin has put in some shift. We're into the 3rd minute of stoppage time as Ballina Stephenites try to put the shine, the gloss on this first win of the campaign for them. McStay to Regan. Evan Regan to Rory Moran. How he'd love to get his name on the score sheet and show Niall Heffernan what he can do, and he's done it. Lovely score.
Yeah, because that man Conor McStay, he just put on the afterburners here, leaving one of the Knockmore defenders for dead, and it was he who created that chance. He's been very impressive for them in the second half, getting on a lot of ball.
I make that now 8 different scorers for the Stephenites. They have certainly shared it around, and they're 8 points up and absolutely cruising, as Peter Nyochton's attempt to play a pass across field is cut out by Luke Doherty. Paul Lydon just stole a look at his watch there, happy enough to let the play continue a little longer. Ballina won't complain. They've waited a while to beat the champions here at James Stephens Park, so they will enjoy every moment. Rory Tighe to Sam Callanan. Late hit on Tighe, I think. Not quite sure if Eamon McAndrew is going to raise the flag or not. Big hit by McHale on Boland. Free to Ballina, and yes, Eamon McAndrew has his flag in the air, but in fact it's to signal a sub. That's Kevin Newell, who's going to come in for the last few seconds of this game. Kieran Boland is going to need a moment here to gather his thoughts and compose himself. So Kevin Yule for Dylan Thornton. That's the change on the Ballina team. Niall Heffernan wants to take a look at Kevin Yule, obviously, for the last few moments as Rory Moran gets involved again. Now Conor McStay. Frank Irwin makes a run just to give him an option. Frank Irwin just chips it towards the goal, and that will go down as a wide. Just the fourth from Ballina as the game now starts to peter out, fade out. 5 minutes of stoppage time gone. All eyes on Paul Lydon. I can see some spectators have already hit out the gate. There goes the full-time whistle. It's finished 3-9 to 11 points. 12 scores to 11. But the 3 goals, John, made all the difference.
No question about it. Full value for their victory here, the Stephenites, this afternoon. They were very, very impressive. I wasn't quite sure how good they were going to be, but I have to say they caught the eye with a fantastic performance, and it was just right around the park, every single one of them. We talked earlier on about Pádraig O'Hora, the manliness and the leadership that he provided, and he was absolutely brilliant for them, sweeping back in the full back line and the half back line. But right around the park, the work ethic was superb. But as you rightly say there, Mike, they created a converted 3 goal chances. They created 1 or 2 more. They were always a score threat, and very, very impressive. You've already alluded to the number of scores they've had here, but I can tell you they're right in the shake up. And you know, we've been talking about Stephenites and the quality that they have. I mentioned it a number of months ago that they were a fantastic bet maybe to win a county title. Based on the evidence here this afternoon, they're certainly in with the shout. Now, I watched Westport last night, and they were very, very impressive, beating Ballintubber comprehensively. But I'm coming away here today really, really impressed with Stephenites, and it's a challenge for Knockmore. They'll be hurting, and you know, we know about the derby game this is and the local rivalry that exists here between Ballina and Knockmore. They'll be really hurting to be beaten by so much. They were comprehensively beaten, and they just misfired there today. And we've seen little, I suppose, examples of it. Being beaten by Castlebar Stephenites in the league final was certainly one that caught the eye. One would not have expected that to happen. And here this afternoon, heads are down a little bit, so it's a real challenge for Knockmore to pick themselves up over the next fortnight and go and try and qualify with that last game against Ballaghaderreen. But it's all about Stephenites here this afternoon. They were really, really impressive.
John, we'll get your man of the match and finish up in just a moment, but I'm just looking at the Stephenites there in a huddle, and I'm looking at their manager, Niall Heffernan, in the middle of them. He's a proud Stephenites man. This is a big win for him. It's his first win of this championship campaign, and he got an awful lot right today.
Oh, he did, absolutely. The matchups, but to have the likes of Pádraig O'Hora, I mean, that guy just reads the game so well, and he brings a physicality and an edge to it. And I have to give great credit to Paul Lydon here. This was real quality football, and I'd say it was played in a great spirit. Despite the rivalry that exists between them, referee really officiated brilliantly well and allowed the game to flow. And there was that cliche of mine, the manliness about it right from the get-go. But Niall Heffernan will take great credit from the victory. But he has quality. He has quality in his team. Conor McStay was very, very quiet in the first half. I felt he was well marshalled. But in the second half, he provided great leadership from the 40 there. Got on a sighted ball, and his movement was terrific. But the Irwins are 2 giants of men. Both Jack and Frank were superb. And I have to say, Dylan Thornton at wing forward, notwithstanding the flick for the goal in that first half, which was so vital, gave them a great platform at half time and would have made it easy for Niall to deliver his message inside the dressing room. But the work rate of them all, and the tackling and the challenges and the spirit to which they played in was really, really impressive. I have to say, I've come away here thinking that these boys, Stephenites, have a right chance of landing the big one.
John, I don't envy your task in picking a man of the match. Quite a few contenders. The only guarantee, he was wearing a Ballina jersey, I assume.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, you know, I have to give great credit to Stephenites. Like, I mean, they did put the clappers on a lot of those Knockmore boys, like Darren McHale, who was fantastic last weekend, held scoreless. Peter Knockton was very, very effective for them, albeit he didn't score from open play. I think Conor Dempsey only a point from play, Ed Norm 1 point from play, Kevin McLaughlin 2 in the second half. But they were really, really well marshalled. So that's a great credit to Stephenites. But yeah, the young man that caught the eye with his work effort from start to finish, and it's just it's coincidence that his dad happens to be standing here beside me as PRO of the Ballina Stephenites. But for me,
No pressure, John.
No pressure. But I have to say, you know, as I said, the two Irwins, you could give it to Porrick O'Hora, but Dylan Thornton, a young man at 20 years of age, was absolutely fantastic. He gave them that platform, that goal before half time, and it just his whole application, his work ethic, and the spirit in which he displayed today was kind of in many ways it kind of resembled and reflected what Ballina Stephenites put on display here today. Very, very impressive, and a young talent that certainly will have caught the eye of a Mayo management that was here. He certainly is one for the future.
So Dylan Thornton is John's selection for man of the match. He scored the first goal to set the Stephenites on their way. Second half goals from Evan Regan and Conor McStay helping to turn the screw, and it finished in a convincing 7-point win for the Stephenites. This group now very finely balanced ahead of round 3 in a fortnight's time. The Stephenites go top of the group with 3 points from 2 games. Knockmore and Ahamore with 2 points apiece, and Ballahadreen bringing up the rear with 1. It is beautifully poised ahead of round 3 in 2 weeks' time, when the Stephenites will play Ahamore and Knockmore meet Ballahadreen. So Dylan Thornton is man of the match. The Stephenites come out on top. It has finished here in the Connacht Gold Mayo Senior Club Football Championship round 2 at James Stephens Park in Ballina. Ballina 3-9, Knockmore 11 points.